Today is Friday, July 15th, and you should be reading 1 Kings 17 and 18, Psalm 119, and Jude. I want to focus on a fun story about Elijah here in 1 Kings. And Elijah announces a huge disaster, a natural disaster on the nation. You see, Ahab is the king, and he is one of the most evil kings in the history of Israel. So Israel is about to undergo a crazy long drought. And so Elijah announces this to the king. There's not going to be any rain until I say so. That's kind of cool, actually, to start off with. Kind of cool to be able to say that and trust in the Lord that whatever I say is what's going to happen. Because Elijah trusted the Lord so much that he knew he was in the Lord's will. And so he said that, and as he did, it was true. There was no rain. God withheld the rain from Israel, and it became really bad. In fact, Elijah went to a place that God took care of him. He was totally taken care of. The brook dried up where he was, and so God led him to a new place. And as he did, he found this widow that God had told him about, who was preparing to die with her son. And so Elijah goes up to this woman, and he had already been prepared by the Lord what to say. And here he asks from her food and what she has to eat, where she basically has nothing. But again, Elijah is trusting in the Lord, and he is helping this woman to learn how to trust in the Lord. And so he asks her of this food and says, go and fix your food that you're going to eat. And she does. And he tells her, don't be afraid, go home and do what you were going to do. But first, make me some food and bring it to me. And so that's kind of crazy. I can't imagine ever doing that to someone. But Elijah was doing it on purpose to help this woman to see how great and wonderful our great God is. And the Lord provides for this widow. And it ends up that Elijah stays there for a while. And while he's there, her son, her only son, gets very sick and dies. And so she says here, it says, sometime later, the son of the woman who owned the house became ill. He grew worse and worse and finally stopped breathing. And she said to Elijah, what have you done against me, man of God? Did you come remind me of my sin and kill my son? And so in that, Elijah prays to God. He goes and he prays over this woman's son, and he lays himself over the son 3 times, and he asks God, Lord God, let this boy's life return to him. And the Lord heard Elijah's cry, it says, and he restored the boy's life. And this widow is so excited. She's so happy to see what God has done, and she believes, wow, no matter what, God will provide. He will show up. He will be there to supply my needs. In fact, he will raise my son from the dead. It's crazy stuff that I can't imagine going through. And then Elijah goes on into another trust in God moment. One of the greatest stories of Elijah, that he goes and he has a showdown with the 400 prophets of Baal. And he does this sacrifice. It's a crazy cool story here. The prophets of Baal, they do this sacrifice all day long, and they're supposed to, whoever the God that is true and real is going to burn the sacrifice. And they call on their God all day long, Baal, help us, and burn the sacrifice, and nothing happens. Elijah starts to call on them and say, where is your God? Then it comes his turn that evening, and he puts the sacrifice on the altar. He has them pour water all over the altar. And then he says a simple prayer. And he says this: "Let it be known today that you are the God of Israel, and I am your servant and have done all these things at your command." So Elijah is wanting to turn these people's hearts back to God. He's wanting to restore Israel, restore their hearts into a relationship with him. It is so crazy broken how it's become under this evil king, Ahab. And then it says, a fire of the Lord fell and burned up the sacrifice. Not just the sacrifice, it burned up all the wood and the stones and the soil. Oh, by the way, it also licked up and got rid of all the water. And so they all shouted out, "The Lord, He is God. The Lord, He is God." And they ended up killing all the prophets of Baal right there. It was a crazy story. And then God brings the rain. I want you to realize today, I don't know where you are in your life, but I want you to think about how this connects with you. Elijah was just a normal guy who trusted the Lord in everything. He was a man who wanted to help others to see how to trust in God and to restore them into a relationship with Him. Wherever you go, whoever you're going to talk to today, God's got people in your path that you can help to show them that they can trust God no matter what. And I want to encourage you to be a light, be a beacon for God as you go and help to show others how you can trust in Him and how they can trust as well. And until we see you again, you are sent.